Number 9. In caves. Brady Barr was working as the National Geographic Channel's resident herpetologist in 2007 when his job brought him to an Indonesian cave filled waist-deep with liquefied bat guano, aka poop. He was filming for the show Dangerous Encounters, which revealed the precise moment a 12-foot-long reticulated python wrapped itself around him and bit into his leg, causing him to scream out in excruciating pain. Ironically, the incident happened during an expedition to learn more about reticulated pythons and why they choose to live in caves. And while pythons are non-venomous, Barr's wound was exposed to animal waste and was therefore at a high risk of infection. A friend of Barr's had lost a limb after a bite got infected, and it had happened far closer to civilization than Barr was at the time, making it extremely important for him to get medical care as quickly as possible. After hiking uphill for 2 miles and cleaning the wound, he traveled another 27 hours before finally reaching a medical facility that was equipped to treat him. There, he received stitches and antibiotics and began an extensive round of anti-rabies treatment. Thankfully, Barr fully recovered and soon went back to work, undeterred by the dirty and often dangerous conditions that come along with his job. He even returned to the very cave where the bite happened. He mentioned in a later interview with Today that it's important to make the most out of every opportunity and to study wildlife when the funding is there. Number 8. In New York City. In late 2020, residents of the Rego Park neighborhood in Queens were repeatedly attacked by a fearless squirrel who chased, jumped on, and bit its victims. Locals believe that one particularly aggressive and perhaps deranged rodent was responsible for all the attacks. Micheline Frederick, who lives in the area, told The Guardian that she was holding her front door open for furniture movers when the squirrel ran up her leg and attacked her. A very bloody struggle ensued as Micheline fought to get the animal off her. In the meantime, the furniture movers fled inside for safety, leaving the resident to handle the rodent one-on-one. She was shocked by how strong the small creature was. She was covered in bites and in desperate need of medical attention. Even the snow on the ground was bloodstained. Not long after, Micheline saw one of her neighbors being chased by the squirrel. Experts said that it was unlikely that the animal had rabies, but treated victims for it just in case. While the cause of the squirrel's behavior is a mystery, it was possible that it was suffering from an illness that caused it to act abnormally, or that it had gotten used to being fed by humans. According to the last update, city officials had hired a licensed trapper to get the situation under control and bring peace back to the neighborhood. Number 7. In zoos and sanctuaries. In late 2020, a Florida man paid $150 for a full contact experience with a captive black leopard that was being kept in the backyard of a Broward County home. He arrived hoping to play with it, rub its belly, and take pictures, but was instead viciously attacked the moment he entered the big cat's enclosure, leaving him severely injured. The leopard's owner was licensed to have the animal, but was cited on misdemeanor charges for allowing someone to have full contact with it and for maintaining captive wildlife in a condition that resulted in injury, according to a police report. In the years leading up to the attack, numerous other people had been injured by big cats and other animals at wildlife facilities throughout Florida. One woman lost part of her thumb in 2010 when a jaguar bit her at a conservation center. 2 years before that, a Bengal tiger and a lion escaped from their enclosures at another facility, putting the public's safety at risk. Another story tells of a woman who was bitten by a cobra in 2014, and in 2016, a tiger mauled a handler to death at the Palm Beach Zoo, proving that the problem isn't limited to backyard businesses. Florida is known for having some of the country's least restrictive wildlife ownership laws, and these ongoing problems have prompted many to wonder if that needs to change. Activists claim that both humans and wild animals are put in danger when they're brought into unnaturally close proximity with one another. But in a state that highly values personal freedom, it's unlikely that their concerns will lead to stricter laws. Number 6. At the park. Colombian pop singer Shakira was walking with her 8-year-old son at a park in Barcelona last year when a pair of wild boars randomly attacked them. In a shocking Instagram post recounting the event, she wrote that one of the animals grabbed hold of her bag and ran off into the woods with it. She shared photos of the torn bag, stating that the boar had destroyed everything in it, along with footage of her little boy talking about how his mom had bravely stood up to their attackers. Wild boar attacks are increasingly becoming a problem in the region and in other parts of Europe, where they've been found eating garbage and pet food, interrupting traffic, and dashing out in front of cars. The BBC reported that in 2016 alone, Spanish police received nearly 1,200 calls about aggressive and disruptive wild boars. As one of the world's most successful invasive species, they can survive in almost any environment, but they tend to prefer cities because food is readily available. Their close proximity to humans is especially concerning because they carry a variety of diseases. Efforts to cull the animals in some cities like Berlin have proven to be mild to moderately effective at best. And despite the boar's mostly unwelcome presence, some methods that have been used to kill them have proven controversial and have been met with opposition from activists. Number 5. In public gardens. British expat Graham George Spencer was taking an early morning walk at Singapore's Botanic Gardens last year when he encountered a family of around 20 otters. They were quietly crossing the path that Spencer was walking on, but they suddenly went crazy when a runner passed by and headed straight towards them. The runner was evidently moving fast enough to get away from the crazed otters, but Spencer was far less fortunate. He fell to the ground in pain as the otters jumped on him and bit him all over his body, including on his ankles, legs, and buttocks. Spencer later told the Straits Times that he truly believed he was going to die. Luckily, his friends saw what was happening and ran towards the otters, yelling, in order to scare them away. It was effective enough to give Spencer and his buddy a chance to run, while the animals continued to chase after them. Their unfortunate victim had been bitten 26 times in less than 10 seconds, leading to numerous hospital visits and mounting medical bills. Spencer credited his friend with saving his life, telling Today that he didn't think he would still be alive if the fellow park visitor hadn't intervened when he did. Bernard Sia, who works with several otter tracking groups in the area, identified the attackers as a particular group nicknamed the Zouk family. They're one of 10 otter families that live on the island, where otters have returned somewhat recently after spending years away due to the country's polluted waterways. An effort to clean the waterways has brought them back, and the attack on Spencer served as a reminder that it's sometimes difficult for humans and animals to cohabitate peacefully in a shared space. Park authorities used the incident as an opportunity to remind residents to keep a safe distance from otters, to avoid scaring them and triggering an aggressive response. Number 4. In the Zimbabwean wilderness. In 2018, Kristen Yaldor and her husband Ryan celebrated their 37th birthday with a trip to Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. Because the couple live in Florida and are used to being in and around water, they weren't too afraid for their safety when they took a beginner-friendly canoeing trip with another tourist and 2 guides. But that quickly changed shortly after launching, when a guide reported seeing some hippos in the river up ahead and instructed the group to paddle the canoes to the bank. Before Kristen and Ryan could do that, a humongous hippo went beneath their canoe and thrust it into the air, causing it to bend and sending the couple into the water. Kristen began swimming towards the shore when the hippo grabbed hold of her leg and pulled her underwater. She would later describe the ordeal in a written piece for The Guardian, recalling how the animal thrashed her around like a toy along the river bottom. After doing her best to remain calm in the hopes of giving off the impression that she was dead, Kristen reached her hands to the hippo's jaw and tried prying its mouth open. Much to her surprise, the hippo cooperated and let go. Kristen's leg was shredded. She was airlifted to the hospital in South Africa for emergency care and has undergone over 20 surgeries since then. While her leg may never look the same again, she's glad she still has it and that she's able to walk again, which she wasn't too hopeful about at the beginning of her road to recovery. Number 3. In the mountains. Colin Dowler was on his way home from an overnight hike on a mountain in British Columbia when he saw a grizzly bear in the area for the first time. The 47-year-old had seen black bears in the region before, but it was immediately clear that this was a different and much bigger species. Dowler was riding his mountain bike down a service road when he crossed paths with the animal, who was walking straight toward him. The bear approached Dowler. He tried to fend the gargantuan creature off with his mountain bike and threw his backpack, hoping to distract it long enough to safely slip away. The standoff eventually erupted into an outright attack, with the bear stepping right over Dowler's bike and swiping him with its massive claws. It sunk its teeth into the man's body and dragged him to the roadside, where it continued to bite and slash its victim. Meanwhile, Dowler tried everything he could think of to get the bear off him, including gouging its eyes, pulling its upper lips, and playing dead. But nothing worked, and as the attack continued, he became increasingly certain that he was going to die. When all hope seemed lost, Dowler suddenly remembered he had a pocket knife and managed to stab the bear's neck, causing it to immediately release him and run away. He dressed the wounds as best he could, rode his bike several miles to a logging camp, and was flown to a hospital where he spent the next 40 days. A year later, Dowler was pleased with how his physical recovery was going. 2 years after the incident, he told the Vancouver Island Free Daily that his progress had slowed and that he sometimes found himself frustrated with it. He was also concerned about the possibility of suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, but said that he was determined to focus on the positive and continue moving forward with his life. Number 2. In the suburbs. The coyote presence in the suburbs of Dallas and their unusual fearlessness of humans are nothing new. For some time now, these creatures who once stayed in the forest have been inching closer and closer towards people's homes. In recent years, residents have reported having food deliveries stolen and even seen coyotes following kids to school, and they became frustrated when it seemed like the local authorities had no plans to do anything about the animals' concerning behavior. Things escalated to a terrifying new level recently when a coyote snatched a toddler off someone's porch. The 2-year-old ended up in critical care. Attacks like this are rare, but the coyote's increasingly brazen behavior suggests that it could certainly happen again. In the aftermath of the attack, the city blamed residents for making food available to the coyotes. It left locals feeling blamed and insulted, especially since they had long been trying to sound the alarm on the problem. City officials said that they're trying to situate a response plan for the coyote-related complaints, while stepping up their efforts to educate the public on how to discourage the animals from coming around. Number 1. At home. A Medford, Wisconsin couple recently received the scare of a lifetime when a bear shattered one of the windows and entered their home while their children were asleep in their bedrooms. The husband and wife initially spotted the unwelcome visitor outside, eating from a bird feeder. They opened a window and commanded the bear to leave. Immediately, the creature turned around and broke inside. It attacked the couple, leaving them both with numerous bites and injuries as they tried fighting the bear off. At one point, they tried stabbing the animal with a kitchen knife, but it didn't help. Finally, the husband managed to get his gun and shot the bear dead inside the home. It was a sad but necessary outcome for the bear, whose cub was seen near the home around the time of the attack. Authorities said that the monster bear's behavior was unusually aggressive. Wildlife expert Brad Cole told Wisconsin Public Radio that the pair had reacted to the bear's presence appropriately by making noise from what seemed like a safe location, and that the bear's violent reaction was incredibly rare. Bears tend to fear humans, but can be uncharacteristically forthcoming if they feel threatened, especially when it comes to protecting their offspring or a food source. The bear may have also felt startled by the couple, causing it to become agitated. Both husband and wife were treated for their injuries and released from the hospital, and most importantly, their children were unharmed. Thanks for watching. Would you rather wake up to find a mountain lion in your kitchen, or to find that your favorite video game console had been stolen overnight? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye!